Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Overwatch Weekly. We have of course one major thing that happened this week, but there are plenty of other things to cover. So I want to start with the biggest thing, the patch notes that were dropped last Thursday. They of course included the biggest thing, the new Lunar New Year event for 2019, the year of the pig. Biggest changes to that are additional capture the flag versions for the Busan map. I know that they're on the city map, or Busan downtown, I think is what it's called, and the Sanctum. I don't know if it's on Mecha Base. I haven't played it on Mecha Base, so I don't know if it's on Mecha Base, but it's definitely on the other two. Of course, there's also a second season of competitive capture the flag, and there's a ton of different seasonal items. If you want to see the seasonal items, they will be linked in the description and in the cards. I did a video on them, so you can see those there. But on to the hero updates that were added to this. There's a general update which was done to armor, where the damage reduction from armor was reduced from -5 to -3. Now that in general is not the easiest thing to understand. You know, you hear it and you're like, oh, I understand that. What it means is a lot more in depth than I think this comes across with, and they do say a little bit here in the developer comments. I don't normally read these, but I will read it for this one because it is something that helps you get a better understanding. So the dev comments say, before this change, armor reduced all incoming damage by up to 5, maxing at half of the normal amount. This change reduces the damage reduction to 3 while still capping at half. This change will be most noticeable for heroes who will fire quickly or in bursts, such as shotguns, and do more than 6 damage per shot. For example, Soldier 76's heavy pulse rifle will now do 16 damage per shot to armored opponents, which is up from 14. That is an increase of close to 15%. Armor was a bit too strong overall, especially when heroes are being healed quickly and often. This change will help more heroes fight against higher armored enemies. So this is of course the big anti-goats change. They did some more things in this patch that are more anti-goats, such as the change to Brigitte, which now adds a maximum duration of 30 seconds to rally. What that means is that the actual ultimate itself is 10 seconds long of her channeling the armor, and then after 20 seconds following the ultimate following those 10 seconds, the armor will last for 20 seconds and then it'll go away. For D.Va, her defense matrix had its cooldown increased from 1 second to 2 seconds, and Reaper had a Reaping lifesteal increase from 30% to 50% of damage dealt. I'm sure you know about all of these changes. They have been very highly talked about for this patch. They're very, very big. If you want more information on that armor change, because it is definitely hard to understand exactly what it means, I'll have a link to two different things. One is a Reddit post, which comes from A.B. Hinev Banerjee 298. I probably said that wrong, but I'm sorry. On Reddit, and they gave a very simple kind of look at the changes to heroes and the heroes that had any change from the armor nerf. 19 different heroes have indirect buffs because of this, so you definitely want to check that out. I'm also going to link to a video by TGN, where Rusty from TGN made a very good video talking about the armor changes and what it means. So definitely check that video out if you want a little bit more in-depth understanding of what happened. But that is that for that story. So we're going to jump to this dev talk thing that comes from Jeff Goodman. So Jeff Goodman appeared in some interviews and talked about a couple of different things about future changes to some heroes and potential buffs and whatnot coming. So I'm going to start, there's 4 points. I'm going to start with point 2 because Jeff goes a lot more in detail on part 1 in a later kind of edition. This whole forum post will be linked in the description as always if you want to check it out. But the first thing that I want to mention is that he said that Bastion, Reaper, Symmetra are hard to balance because they have a niche, and you don't want to make them too strong outside of that niche because then they're just way too strong. So that's why they've been kind of problematic. They believe that Mercy is in a good place, and I somewhat tend to agree as a support player. I think maybe her healing could go up slightly more, but obviously they don't want her to be too good, so that's why it's not as high. And then role Q is a much harder thing to implement than it seems because of heroes like Zenyatta, Roadhog, or Brigitte who can kind of be in different slots. And how, for example, Sombra used to be played as an off heal because of her hacking and all that kind of stuff. So it would also create a lot longer queue times for people, specifically DPS. So that was a big thing that he touched on with that. The other thing, the main thing he talked on was changes to shields, or no, changes to not shields, changes to basically beam type attacks. So what he says is this: the armor change I'm referring to looks like it isn't going to make this next patch, so it'll probably be the patch after. So 2 patches from now. And the particular changes won't be massive, or I guess it will technically be. This is from January 25th. So yes, this will be 2 patches from now. The particular changes won't be massive, but right now all channeled effects, Zarya, Symmetra, Moira, Winston, etc., so your beam type attacks, are reduced by a flat amount like any other source of damage, but the size of the damage packets is purely based on how fast they tick. So even though the tuning of the weapons are done via a general DPS calculation, there are still some issues with it. So for example, Winston's Tesla cannon was initially tuned way back when to have a faster update rate because it felt a lot better to use, but that also means he does less damage to armor. So they're getting some new tech which allows them to separate armor reduction amounts for these effects from their update rate, and this doesn't mean that they're going to buff all the weapons, but they're going to go through and make sure they're happy with how much damage they're doing to armored targets. So of course there were some follow-up questions, and one of them was if Reaper were to get nerfed, what would they do to Shadow Step? And he said we may still do something with Shadow Step in the future, but it is not likely to suddenly become something you can do in combat like Blink, from Tracer of course. It's meant to be a way to sneak behind enemy lines to drop on them or otherwise ambush them, and in the past they've buffed it towards further reinforcing this direction, like increasing its range and reducing its sound range. And he made one other remark in this thread where people were saying, asking stuff like, the main one was, will this result in a net damage buff against non-armored targets / enemies too? And he said it only affects how much armor reduces these weapons. So this won't be an overall change to the amount of damage to all heroes that Moira and Winston and Zarya, Symmetra, whatever do. It's only going to be to armor. So it's essentially just going to be another way of killing goats. And it's that basically most of the heroes that got buffed against armor from this current patch did not get any kind of buff to armor. Although the ones that got buffed this patch don't include these beam type heroes. So they will get a buff in a future update to help them be more effective against armor, because the current armor change doesn't really impact them, and you can't get a headshot as a Symmetra or a Moira, so you're not getting that damage. So that's what this change in the future will do for heroes like that. I'm sorry if it's hard to understand. I highly recommend you check out some of the videos on it, some of the videos that you can find in the thread if that helps you out, or just read through what Jeff's trying to say. I'm really bad at describing it, but I hope it's a little bit easier to understand. But I'm going to move on to the next story, which is coming from Blizzard themselves, and it is that the price for the Overwatch Standard and Legendary Editions has been permanently reduced. So the Standard Edition has been reduced from $39.99, so about $40, to $19.99, so about $20. So basically slicing that price in half. While the Legendary Edition has been reduced from $59.99 to $39.99, so about a $20 cut in both of those prices. There is a kind of insider rumor that Overwatch will go free to play at the end of the year. Um, we don't know if it's true or not, of course. It could end up happening. We just have no idea yet. There's obviously rumors that Overwatch is struggling to keep its player base. I don't fully disagree. I think there's probably a large portion of Overwatch players that have fallen out of the game. So I think that is definitely something they can do to try to fix it, would be to make the game go free to play, or of course lowering the price helps out a lot as well. So I think it's a good move. Obviously I already bought the game, so it doesn't impact me, but it could impact people out there who don't have the game yet and have wanted to try it. The final story I have for you has to do with the Overwatch League and TV broadcasting in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So Blizzard Entertainment has partnered with the German broadcaster Sport1 to have live Overwatch League coverage in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland on TV. The 2-year agreement will see the company's Esports One pay-to-watch channel feature live coverage from Blizzard's Overwatch League and the Overwatch World Cup. And it will also include Hearthstone, but it will not include StarCraft 2 or WoW. Obviously, Germany's a big market for this kind of stuff. The Sport One Esports channel was revealed last week, so this is a really big kind of push towards esports for this and for this company, and I think it's a really, really big boost that we're seeing, and I think it's going to be a really, really big change. Of course, Europe is a huge scene in Europe, and obviously we have a team in Paris, we have a team in the UK. It seems like it was going to be a team in Germany that just kind of fell through. Who knows, but I think Germany will get a team pretty soon, probably in Season 3, if they expand again, which I imagine they will. But I think it's very interesting to see how the league as a whole is growing. And I think it's going to be very good to see how Blizzard and the Overwatch League adapt and change the way they do things with the esport going forward, because it was a successful first season, but it's a matter of can they keep the success going forward, and that's what we're trying to see if it'll succeed. So a very, very interesting move, very good move, I think. Obviously it's a pay to watch channel, so that's what is very interesting, but I don't really know what it means to pay to watch, because most channels are pay to watch, but my assumption is it means it's not a typical like it's not included in like a basic package, it's an additional kind of channel. So that's it. That's everything I have for you this week. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing, it helps out a lot. Let me know down below your thoughts on any of this stuff, if it's the upcoming beam nerf or beam buff or the armor nerf, whatever, or your thoughts on the price drop, if you think the Overwatch should go free to play, anything at all. I'd love to hear your opinions on those in the comments down below, but I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a nice day. Remember that the Overwatch League, just under 2 weeks until it returns. Get excited. I know I am. I hope you are. That's everything. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.